Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome back to Martial Arts Theater 3000. And today I got a quick review of an old favorite of mine, Joseph Kuo's The Unbeaten 28. And before we jump in, if you like this type of content, please hit the like button and subscribe. It'll help the channel a lot. And I wanted to say thanks to everyone for the support on the channel. We just passed 5,000 subscribers. We're on our way towards 6,000, and I'm blown away by that. I really appreciate all the support. And without any further ado, let's dive back into it. Unbeaten 28 was one of those movies when I was browsing the VHS section of Giant Eagle, which is a grocery store in Pennsylvania. So when my mom would be shopping, I would just be looking at the horror movie boxes and the kung fu movies, and Unbeaten 28 grabbed my eye, so I rented it, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, I consider this one a classic. There's a lot of nostalgia there for me, and when I watch it nowadays, I do see how if I hadn't saw it when I was young, you may think certain parts are definitely a little bit cheesy, but for me, this one still holds up. I've mentioned in some of my previous videos how Joseph Kuo, he really encapsulates that gritty, grindhouse-style kung fu movie. I mean, no one really taps into that like Joseph Kuo does for me. And this one comes a year after Mystery of Chess Boxing. This is 1980, and you'll see a lot of parallels between these two movies. You got Mark Long as the villain. Jack Long is in it as well. And now we have Meng Fei, who I think is incredible. He has such great charisma in this, and he really takes this movie up a notch. And what it has that cracks me up to this day is one of the craziest narrations you're going to hear. I mean, Joseph Kuo, he has a lot of awesome opening narrations, like in Born Invincible. But this one, it is just so powerful, and it sounds like a guy just screaming from a mountaintop. Take a listen to this for 1 second.
When he was only 1 year old, they started him on a special diet of tiger's milk and wild herbs to strengthen his muscle and bone, all the better to withstand the rigorous training he would be subjected to later on.
I mean, that just cracks me up. That's why there's parts of this movie, like the one actress, Jeannie Chang. She's playing Tiger or Meng Fei's sister. She, in certain parts of this movie, in the English dub, she just says Tiger over and over, and it gets a little bit annoying. This one's very due for a Blu-ray restoration. I'd love to hear the original language version, but I'm a little worried it'll lose that opening narration and how funny it is and the power and all of it. But I think it would make some of the funnier or sillier parts of the dub later in the film, it would give it a more serious vibe to it all. This movie definitely has a simple plot. Mark Long is the insidious villain, and he's just killing all of the Wu-Tang clan, but they are able to save Meng Fei when he's a baby. They raise him, training him in kung fu very intensely from a young age, and when he turns 18, they set him off to this temple, which has become his life's goal, is to get this kung fu manual, and that's the entire middle section of this movie, him trying to overcome these 18 obstacles to get this manual. They want to get the manual to rebuild the Wu-Tang clan and to defeat Yan Chan Ying, who, like I said, is played by Mark Long. And there's some sections that remind me of 36th Chamber of Shaolin. Instead of him, after all of these years of training in Unbeaten 28, just tearing through these 18 obstacles, he actually fails multiple times. It has a bit of a reset feeling, like he has to go back to his training. And when I spoke to my good buddy Leon, he said he loves this movie and it reminds him of Indiana Jones. So it has a bit of that coming into play here. And it's a great mix. And I think the middle section is definitely the best part of the movie. The fighting is excellent throughout this film. And when he gets to finally face off against Yan Chan Ying, I think this finale is awesome. I have read in a few books where it has called this movie anticlimactic at the ending. I won't give a spoiler here, but the very ending of the movie isn't quite like your standard blowout fight. There's a long fight, but it goes to another section. It's kind of like a coda to it all. That has a different feeling to it. I'm curious what everyone thinks about the ending. But that's the thing about this movie. I spoke to Leon about this recently, but a lot of people don't seem to know Unbeaten 28 or ever talk about it. And I've always wondered why it was called Unbeaten 28. And I've come to my own conclusion recently that all it simply is there's 18 obstacles, and the movie should have been called The Unbeaten 18. but I think something got lost in translation and they just accidentally called it the Unbeaten 28, because there's nothing that equals 28 in this movie. I even tried to count the amount of people he fights going through the obstacles, and they refer to the 18 obstacles as having been unbeaten. So I think this movie, like I said, should have been called Unbeaten 18. That would have been the proper title. So wrapping it up, for the plot and acting, I'd give this one a 7.5 out of 10. The story is very simple. It works. I think the dub is like a double-edged sword here. The opening is hysterical with the narration. I wouldn't want to lose that, but some of the dubs for Jeannie Chang and the other characters get a little bit annoying in the middle, but it's a solid story, and I think the acting is pretty decent as well. For the action and fighting, I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. The finale is fantastic. There's some great fights in the middle, and the training, it really correlates with his success. So when he fails, he goes back and he trains specific movements, and you'll see him, when he's punished, he balances weights on his shoulders. And then when he's trying to open up a door later, for instance, you can see that helped him get through this obstacle. So there's some great tie-ins, and the fights are just fantastic. And for ways to watch on this one, it's a little tough. I have this Eastern Heroes version from Ground Zero that I've had forever on DVD. You could probably find that on eBay, but I think the best way you're going to be able to find it right now is to watch it on YouTube if you don't have this copy. It's pretty murky, and my copy and I think the version on YouTube are definitely sourced from the VHS. You can see tracking lines. So if some company like 88 Films or a different company could pick this up, restore it, and have the original language, I would be really excited for that release. Alright guys, that was a quick review of the Unbeaten 28. Let me know down below what you guys think of this one. I feel it doesn't get talked about as much as a lot of the other movies in this genre, like Mystery of Chess Boxing. People love and adore that one. I don't really hear about Unbeaten 28 too much, and I hope if it gets a proper release, like I said, that'll bring it more to the forefront, and some people can see how fun this one really is. Alright guys, I'll catch you in the next one.
His hands were hardened in hot sand till his fingers had the strength of tensile steel.